guys, it's Lucy, and today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This book has been very talked about. I actually got this for my book of the month choice in the month of December, and I read it in February, and here I am doing a review of it a month later. If you don't already know, The Sun Is Also a Star is a story about two teenagers, and it takes place over the course of one day. And one teenager is Natasha, who is an undocumented Jamaican immigrant, and the day this book takes place is actually the day that she and her family are supposed to be deported. So she's running around trying to keep that from happening. And the other perspective of the story is Daniel, who is a second-generation Korean American who is supposed to be on his way to one of the most important interviews of his life, which is to a very prestigious university that he doesn't actually want to go to, but his family really wants him to. So he's interviewing, and their paths cross and things happen. This is a contemporary romance, so I assume you can assume what happens. And yeah, it's a really fun story. I really enjoyed it. It has a lot of light and fun moments while still tackling some heavy subjects like immigration and race. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I really liked it, loved it. So on to just some things that I really liked about it. I loved Natasha and Daniel together and separately. I loved them as people for obviously different reasons because they were very different people. I also really appreciated the interjections of some side characters and some random kind of stories that were, like, they were less random, that were kind of interjected into the story. So the novel is told mostly from Daniel and Natasha's perspective, and it switches off like every chapter who's speaking. Also, I really liked that because I felt like it was very easy to tell who was talking and who wasn't. They were very separate characters. It wasn't hard to see whose perspective you were in. But there was also some interjection of somebody they may have met on the street or someone, and how like them bumping into that person ended up affecting that person. I just thought those really added to the story and made it that much better. And it really makes you think about the effect that you can have on literally anyone you cross paths with. And the fact that I could tell who the characters were and that the perspectives weren't an issue for me is a testament to the writing. I keep saying this, but it just felt lighthearted and airy and just a fun thing to read. As characters, I think a lot of why I enjoyed this book as well is that I really related to both characters in different ways. I related to Natasha because she is Black, and this is an Own Voices book in that sense because one of the main characters is Black, and Nicola Yoon is a Jamaican immigrant to the United States. So they share that experience. But yeah, I related to Natasha because she was Black, and some of the discussions that were talked about. I really appreciate when books talk about Black hair because, I don't know, it's not a thing that was really talked about in books I was reading when I was younger. So now that there are more YA books that are coming out that talk about it, I feel appreciated because clearly I have natural hair, Black hair, and there was a little interjection about how Black hair has existed in the United States and who controls like the products that a lot of Black people in America use for their hair and things like that. And I thought it was a good thing to pop in there because that's something like if you're not Black you probably don't know anything about. So I thought that was a good way to educate. Besides looks wise, I also related to Natasha emotionally because I am a person who's also more practicality and data driven, and she really was more of that. Daniel's kind of the more emotional person. He really believes in like love at first sight and all these things, and Natasha's really not that at all. I related to her in that sense as well. And then Daniel I related to due to like his second generation immigrant experience. If you don't know, second generation immigrant means that your parents were born in a different country and immigrated to, well, in this case to the US, and you were born in the US, but like obviously your parents are immigrants. So my parents immigrated from Haiti long before I was born. I was born in America, but my parents still visit Haiti. Like obviously all my family is Haitian. I know Creole a little bit, so I do share the experience of having your family be from a completely different culture than the one you kind of grew up in. Not to the extent that Daniel's are because his parents are pretty strict in this book, but I just felt a connection with him there. I also love that Natasha and Daniel's families were both present, whether for the better or worse, they were present and they were actual plot points of the book and not ignored, which happens a lot in the YA. Less so now, I feel like, now that I guess more people are realizing, hey, you know, it's kind of weird that these 16-year-olds have no parents around ever. The only real problem I had with this book was kind of the insta-love-iness of their relationship, which, as I said, it takes place over the course of one day, so it was really kind of hard to avoid. But I kind of not got over it, but it kind of was lessened for me as the book went on, because a lot of the book is kind of trying to convince Natasha of the possibility of like their feelings, and in that sense the book is also trying to convince you, and I think it does a good job of doing that. So I think that's all I have to say about this book. I really enjoyed it. I really recommend it. If you're looking for a light, fun, contemporary read, I recommend it. I'm sure a lot of other people have recommended it to you by now, but in case you needed one more, it's me. Read it. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinions about The Sun Is Also a Star, please leave them down below. We can chat about it. If you have read it, if you haven't read it and you plan to read it, tell me anything. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I make more videos where I talk about books. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!